What's up, y'all? Coming at you live from my living room this time. This is episode 6 of the Hybrid Athlete podcast. It's been a couple weeks, so I think I checked in before my Ironman race about 6, 7 days out, I want to say. And then I haven't made a video since, but I am sporting my sick new Ironman hat. This thing's fucking awesome. Cost me $40, but it was well worth it. The race was a good overall outcome. I would say on the borderline of being a great outcome. I cut 26 minutes off of my time from the previous year, which is a great accomplishment. The only part of the race, which I'll get into, which I did not feel like I performed that well at, was the bike. But that's kind of an equipment related thing where I'm coming to the realization that I need to get a better bike. But overall, 6 hours and 12 minutes. Body weight was like, 182, 181, 182. So I'm relatively heavy for an Ironman athlete, as I am for the marathon, which I ran in May. But I think preparation was solid, no regrets. I went to bed. I didn't take any caffeine in on Friday for the whole day. So that really helped me sleep good on that Friday evening. I went to bed on Friday night at I think 7:45 p.m. I laid down and I was asleep by 7:50, 7:55. Woke up at 3:45 in the morning, got ready, went up to Boulder. My bike was already checked in, so I checked into the race check-in to a transition area where we come out of the water and then go out on the bikes. So nice thing about Boulder is the transition area is pretty well organized. There's kind of a loop. So basically you come out of the water, you come in, pick up your bike, you go out there'd be the north side. And then on the south side is where you come in off the bike and then you exit for the run on the south side as well. So everything was really well organized. Anyone who's considering doing an Ironman, I would recommend Boulder as long as you're okay with the altitude. The difficulty of the race, I'm not going to say it's an easy Ironman, but it's the only Ironman that I've done, so I can't really speak to other ones. But I would say the hilly bike makes it a challenge. There's a fair amount of elevation change, but I would say the run was relatively not as hard as it was last year when there was cycling back and forth on gravel road to and from the reservoir side. So this year was structured a little bit differently, just 2 loops. So 2 loops both on the bike and then 2 loops both on the run, 2 6.55 mile loops. So time-wise, I did a 39-minute and 40-second swim, which I thought was pretty good, given the fact that I was trying to navigate through traffic and get around a bunch of people. It was kind of crowded. I lined up in a finish time that was like 46 to 50 minutes. So you do the math, I'm 10 minutes faster than, 6 to 10 minutes faster than what I lined up at. And the challenge was me just kind of getting around folks and just kind of put my head down for 5 or 6 strokes, look up, and then navigate and maybe zigzag. So in a 2,000 meter course, I probably swam about 2,400 meters just because I was back and forth a fair amount. But that's, that comes with the race. I mean, it's kind of the nature of the race is, I believe 2,800 people raced that day. So you don't really get separated or have kind of a nice, open course until you're kind of, alone on the bike 20, 30 miles in. You kind of separate and find a group for the long term. But I finished the swim, came out of the water. I think my transitions I'm not too worried about them. I mean, when I'm not trying to win the race, I'm not too concerned about taking an extra minute or two just to gather myself, change my socks, get my running shoes on, my bike shorts on, etc. Make sure I got all my nutrition. I think I did a good job with my nutrition. So in terms of sodium and potassium levels, I took in 3 gel packs for the whole race. So 2 gel packs on the bike and 1 gel pack on the run. Caffeine wise, I loaded up on caffeine the morning of the race. So a couple hours before the race started, like 5:30 in the morning, I took in 600 milligrams of caffeine. Now that's a lot of caffeine, but I would say if you are not going to get a headache from it, it's only going to improve your athletic performance. So it's a vasodilator for one thing. It opens up your blood vessels and it activates a peptide that is a fat burning peptide, and it improves concentration and focus. So caffeine, long-term peptide, fat loss, there's 3 different types of fat cells. The beige ones, if I'm not mistaken, are the ones that this peptide, I think it's PEP C1, PEP1C, I'll have to fact check that. But that is in caffeine, which helps you kind of your body burn fat appropriately and be efficient in the metabolic process. Focus and concentration. Ironically, the only time I do get headaches is when I don't have caffeine. So on Friday, I was feeling kind of sluggish, kind of lethargic. Honestly, I had a headache, and I knew it was a consequence of not having caffeine. So I wasn't worried about being sick for the race or anything, but I just had to, kind of suck it up and get through the day and finish my prep and just go to bed early. So I did that and woke up and had a bunch of caffeine. On the first transition, obviously you want to get out of your swimsuit, get out of the water. You run up the ramp back to the transition area. If you have bike shoes, put on your bike shoes, change into your bike shorts, your tri-suit, or just your bike shirt, which I do a bike and a run in a tri-suit, or just a bike shirt that's kind of looks like this. It's just a white and black Ironman shirt. So it works good for me. Applied some sunscreen, got out on the road, and the bike took me, I believe, 3 hours and 18 minutes, which is not a very quick bike, especially given my training performance. So I do a lot of my training just on a controlled environment stationary bike for two reasons. First reason is I don't like having too many open ride bikes where they're not, closed off by the Ironman Association, because there's, fast moving traffic. If you're trying to bike on a highway, people die on the highway from bike accidents. People break arms in Ironman prep from long bike rides on gravel roads. I was a lot more confident that I could accomplish a lot of my training indoors. And to be completely honest, I was confident, I had some good 2-hour bike sessions where I covered 45 miles of road. That didn't translate to the race for, I believe, the primary reason being that the quality of my bike is not where it should be for being a competitive racer. I don't have an issue with that because I'm going for completion at this point. I'm 32 years old. This is my second Ironman. I've done 4 full marathons. I've done a handful of obstacle course races. I'm, an avid weightlifter. Like I've specified on this channel, I am going for a hybrid athlete approach where I am good at a variety of things. I took a kickboxing class yesterday. It was enjoyable. I learned how to, get better at a jab, crossover, southpaw, and orthodox. Those types of activities interest me. I'm not interested in fighting and beating someone up in a boxing ring. I'm not interested in running a Division I college level marathon. I'm not interested in bench pressing 400 pounds and taking steroids. I'm interested in doing everything that I love for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years even. So that's my approach. And given my approach, I'm happy with how the race turned out. But in that same token, if I could afford a $5,000 to $10,000 bike, I would definitely like to do so. Because in my opinion, based off of the feeling of the efficiency of the pedal and my tire pressure, I know was good. I did a good job at gauging my tire pressure. And after a 28-mile loop, the first loop, I checked my tire pressure. I pumped up a little bit on that Presta valve. I have a real nice portable bike pump, which is really, it's efficient. It helps me get air in my tire in like 30 seconds. So I used that, and then I went into second loop. I never really felt like I slowed down too much, but my overall pace was too slow to break 3 hours for the whole loop and for the whole run. But it's somewhat of a challenging bike course. I mean, there was a stretch on Highway 36 that goes north. For those of you who know Colorado well and know the Boulder race area well, that runs right along the foothills of the mountains headed north towards Wyoming. So that 10 to 12 mile stretch was filled with uphill spurts. So net uphill, probably at least 500-600 feet, maybe even more on that 10-mile stretch. And some of them were pretty steep and pretty intense. So there's a nice downhill, but it's only like half a mile, quarter mile. Then you got an entire 1 mile plus stretch that goes uphill. There's 2 or 3 cycles of those. I would imagine I was probably 3-minute, 30-second miles on the bike, not going too fast at all. But I knew that when I got off the bike, I was going to have enough energy to pretty much complete the first 6-mile loop unbroken, which I did. So my half marathon was a time that I was actually most proud of, because last year the half marathon time took me like 2 hours and 27 minutes, I think. And this year I was stop and go occasionally towards the end, but I didn't really hit like a legitimate wall until mile 10 or 11 of the race where I was really stop and go. But I gutted out those last 2 miles of the race and finished in a 2-hour flat half marathon, which I'm happy with because, again, it's my second race. And, given the quality of my bike, and I expended quite a bit on the bike, 56-mile bike. So I think I gave a good effort, and I was happy with my nutrition execution. Like I said, 3 gel packs, hitting aid stations with water, ice, Gatorade. I focus more on electrolytes more than I do on fluid quantity because I have a pretty good idea of my sweat rate and like how many liters I need to take in of water every hour that I'm exercising. Given that it wasn't in the middle of the summer and that the race temperature was like 85, maybe 86, 87 degrees at the most, I think it was a good strategy to take in more, a little bit less fluid, but more definitely stay on top of my electrolytes and make sure that your stomach's not too full while you're racing. Towards the end, though, that's really not an issue because you've already lost so much during the entire race because the carbohydrates from the meal that you had the night before and the smaller meal you have in the morning, you pretty much already burned through them, and that's where gel packs and electrolytes come into play. That supports water retention in the body, so you're losing less. The more sodium you have specifically in your body, the less fluid and water that you're losing. So there's a hormone that's triggered that basically just supports that retention, that water retention. But I think given the given the circumstances, I did a very good job at this race. And I wanted to finish this video by sharing what my plans are going forward locally, like in my community, at my gym, like in my training and stuff. So what I want to do is I want to try to do like a ketogenic diet where my diet is basically, if you break it down, it'd be like 60% protein, 30% fats, and 10% carbohydrates. I think statistically and generally speaking, a ketogenic diet is a max like 20% of your calories are carbohydrates. But I want to do it where like I'm at 10%, so I kind of even restrict it a little bit more. Meaning like most meals are going to be like strictly just meats, like a carnivore diet, maybe some eggs, some cheese on top of ground beef or something like a hamburger without the bun or something. And then vegetables will be a fraction of my carbohydrate intake. But again, like on a salad, I'm not going to have croutons. I'm not going to be eating any bread, rice, no pasta, no chips. The one snack that I enjoy that's not really that healthy is chips and salsa, but I'm going to eliminate that completely altogether. I'm going to change my sauces. So I'm going to stick with like a carb-free sauce profile, you can say, of like hot sauce, mustard, steak sauce has carbs. So steak sauce is out, no sweet and sour sauce, no barbecue sauce, salt, a lot of salt, sea salt, pepper, keep my sodium intake high just to support my training. So my experiment is focused on learning how my training is affected if I become maybe fat adapted. So if my body relies on triglycerides and adipose tissue to burn as opposed to glucose and glycogen in the from the insulin secretion from the liver, etc., in the bloodstream, if I change my energy source in my body mechanically and I really focus on going through the process of implementing this adaptation in my body, can I still train at a high level? Does my body composition change? Do I look stronger? Am I stronger? Do I look bigger? Am I bigger? Is my body weight changing that much? Tracking the calories, what's my calorie intake compared to what I was doing, this whole last year where my diet hardly changed at all. There was a time span where my dinner was the exact same for 15 to 20 days, meaning was sirloin steak, 2 cups of rice, a big spinach salad, and a bag of vegetables. So now that I'm changing that, I'm removing the rice altogether. Now that I'm maybe adding different meats that have a higher fat content, like ribeye steaks, like tri-tip steaks, like maybe some flank steak, even though it's leaner, I'll add that. I'll add that in and have that with just in maybe a slightly larger quantity, or mix it with some fatty chicken, something like that. How can I, get 280 grams of protein plus per day and then meet this ratio for the ketogenic diet of my macros and then see where this takes me and see if I can't really build my physique a little bit more. So this is more of like a narcissistic approach to my training now, is like, I don't have to worry about, taking in 5,500 plus calories a day to be able to work out for 3 hours straight. Now what I can do is I can say, okay, maybe I want to try to get a 6-pack if I can get close to having a 6-pack, or if I want to train combat sports so that I can really, build my upper body and my upper frame and just look better and kind of like build some confidence in my base, like my athletic base or my training base, and see how good I can get at a few other things. Like I said, I'm not gonna, I'm not trying to become a middleweight champion in the UFC or a boxing, a boxing star, but I do want to, work out in the boxing ring, hit the bag, maybe spar every now and then with someone who's not going to kick my ass, and then do a few things that are different and that are kind of not what I've been doing the last 3 or 4 months. Since the end of February, I dedicated myself to the endurance side of things, and 3-hour, 4-minute marathon, pretty good. Given my body weight and stuff and my training time frame, I would say that I'm still in good race shape. So if I'm going to be doing a half marathon at the end of July. I think I'll be running enough to stay in good shape for that. But then once I get past September, I think I'm going to be falling off and going really towards kind of a bulking phase where I want to get up to like 190, 195 pounds, relatively lean, and then cut back into January, February, and do the whole thing over again next year. But I think that's kind of a good synopsis, a good report on where my head's at and what my goals are for the last half of the year of 2023. So I'll leave it at that for now. I got some work I got to do. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope that this was a productive conversation and everyone either has some ideas that are flowing in their head on what they want to do with their fitness journey, and maybe if they're looking for a trainer, they can reach out to me. The more traction I get and the more the more confidence I get in my knowledge of fitness and nutrition specifically, I might be providing some more services and programs and advertising for what I can do to help folks out. So I will say I'll be very cheap. So maybe I'll just charge, I don't know, $100 a month or something, and you guys can get on one of my programs, or I could just, do virtual advice, or even maybe meet in some in-person sessions or whatever. So I think this thing's going to organically grow over the next 12, 18 months. And I think I'll have like a really nice profile, athletic kind of fitness service profile going into 2025, which is my goal. So I'm, my head's in a lot of places like web development, using my tech background, my data science, data analyst background to apply some of what I learned to new concepts like this that are in the field of fitness, which is what I love to do. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll be checking in a week or so to give an update on my diet and how it's kind of methodically transferring from a carb heavy diet to a fat protein heavy diet. I think I've done enough research so that I know it's going to be a safe diet, not necessarily what my body's used to, but that's kind of the idea, is to give your body something different. Just like how you change up your training and your body changes, maybe you change up your diet and your body changes for the better. So that's what this whole process is about over the next probably 6 weeks. So that's all I got. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, have a good day, have a good week, and